Jade Holland has released 2 albums and she followed them last year with the completely infectious Oh My Heart. She now has a new single, Wild in Me, which is captivating in a different way. And we're going to talk about it. Hello, Jade.
Hey, Sophie, how are you going?
I'm very well, thank you. Still listening to Oh My Heart constantly because it's such a great song, but also now listening to Wild in Me, which is a very different kind of song to that. It's slower, and while just as heartfelt, it's a little more intense, I felt. So what's the story behind it?
I think because I've never really written a love song. It's been something that I've struggled with many years now. I've never really sung a love song, I don't think. I think because I've always kind of gone, oh, like I feel it, but I don't feel it, it's never been deep in my bones kind of thing. And then obviously I met my now husband, and we got married earlier on this year. And I think a couple of months before that, I was really going through, I think when you decide to get married, I personally just went through this whole whirlwind of like emotions, like, wow, there is somebody out there that really does want to spend the rest of their life with me. I never thought that day would come, and so I think just putting all these, feeling all these emotions and stuff, I sat down with my friend Alys Ffion and I said, hey, I want to write a song, but I don't think I can write a love song, like I don't think, because we met, I'm really blunt with this, but we met on Tinder. We were pen pals because we met at the beginning of COVID. So we were pen pals for like almost 3 months before we met each other. So it was really nice to lay some really genuine foundations. Whereas if like, in previous things, previous dates and stuff I'd had, it's like, it's Tinder, it's temporary. It's like snap and it's gone, And so I was telling Alys all of this and, I remember saying that I love that Chad encourages like the wild in me. Like he's like, he doesn't hold me back. He's like, yeah, if that's, go and do it. He's like, get out of the house, bugger off, leave. He's like, if that's what drives you, go and do it. And, and she started writing and started playing on the piano and this kind of came about and it's almost like a backwards love song in a sense. It's like, because I always thought when you found that one that the world would stop and, like all the fairy tale stuff. And it didn't. It was like, oh, actually this guy is he's just there. He's just perfect, just there, accepting of all my flaws, all my craziness, lets me be wild and sometimes stupid. And I love that guy. Like it was just, it's like a penny dropping. But before that, I thought it was always going to be this, like, what, just, like blindsided by love, like the full fairy tale movies things. And I don't think it happens that way. And so we wrote that.
Did you see what you were saying about not having done a love song before? Yeah, because you hadn't felt it the way you're feeling it now. But I'm wondering, as an artist, who wanting to get songs heard and onto radio and things, I would imagine you'd feel a certain pressure to write a love song because there are a lot of them around. So were you feeling that pressure? Because again, 2 albums, that's a lot of songs to write.
Yeah, that is a lot of songs to write. And I listen back to them and I go, whoa, I was real mad. Not for the Dream Wild album, but a lot of the Mess With a Girl Like Me album. Leather and Les Paul, yeah. I didn't feel the pressure, I don't think. My manager, so I'm I have no label, so I'm an independent artist, but I work very closely with my manager and he really encourages me to make what my heart desires. And he's never really said you need a love song, but he said it'd be nice to hear something a bit different. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know what that entails, but we'll figure it out. And then we came up with this and I sent it to him and he was like, yeah, that was it. Yeah. I'm like, okay, thanks.
And I was also interested in the idea of wildness, the wild in you. And as you were saying, your husband encourages that in you. There is cultural pressure though, I think, on women to not be wild. It's something that if you feel like you want to run free and do different things, that it's something you should suppress or tame because it's just not the done thing. So growing up as someone who wanted to be a musician, who wanted to be a performer, these are wild things to certain people. Was that something you felt you had to suppress?
No, no. I have had to suppress that in previous relationships. I remember maybe like my first real relationship, he said to me, and I'll never forget it, because it's a really good driving thing in me that just keeps me going, because he said, I guess if you're not successful in 3 years, maybe we'll quit music and you can get a normal day job and we'll have children like the normal people do. And I said, I guess probably not. Like, I was like, my parents, bye. Like my parents, we were raised on a little itty bitty farm where my parents knew nothing about the country living. They moved from the city in Sydney, and they bought 5 acres of land, and they had a 2-year-old daughter, and they were like, yeah, we'll figure it out. My mum didn't know how to hold a gun, but we got taught, because there was like feral pigs and snakes and goannas and feral cats and you name it. And we had to protect ourselves. But it was like my parents learned the hard way. They were like, went from, Sydney traffic to the bush. And, mum always just said, you just got to do whatever you want to do. If it brings you joy and you've got a passion for it, then you've got to do it, because if you don't, you'll be left going, oh, I wish I did that. Or, life could have been different if I did things, the way my mum said I should, and so I don't know, she's always just really been encouraging. And I know she says to me, I live my life vicariously through you. And I'm like, okay. And that's because she didn't have the opportunities that we have, or that I've had, in my last 30 something years. So I almost wanted to thank my ex because he said that, because I was like, yeah, thanks, mate. Like, you just encouraged me to leave you, chase my dreams. And I went to Nashville and recorded my album, and I've continued on, and I'm still playing shows, and I'm just loving the whole experience of it, And Chad, he just goes, yeah, she's off, she's going to another show, bye. He's like, good luck, babe, have a great time. I'm like, yeah. It's fun.
Well, and also what you were saying, your ex had said, get a normal day job. But even that concept of what is a normal job, I mean, if you're an artist and that's in you, that is normal for you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I've questioned, I don't know if I'm the only artist that does this. Maybe, I mean, I've spoken to my friend Tori Dark about it a few times, but if I was to change jobs, I wouldn't be happy. I would be so confused. And I think it would darken my light, like it would dim my light, and I would feel like I've lost something. I quit music when I was 18. I quit it for 1 year. And it was probably the toughest year of my life. When I say I quit it, I cold turkey. I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't put on CDs. I didn't sing a note. I didn't pick up my guitar. And it was probably the hardest year of my life to date. It was just, I didn't feel me. I felt sad, and I think if I was to quit music or try and be normal. I mean, like you said, so what is normal in this day and age? Nothing is. Yeah. We're all unique beings now, and we all do these weird, wonderful, unique jobs. I mean, we've got TikTok influencers, we've got influencers, I mean, that wasn't normal 10 years ago. Nobody had heard of that like 40 years ago. Yeah. There's no such thing as normal anymore. We're all normal in a sense.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of not listening to music for a year. I couldn't fathom that.
No, it was after my big record deal went pear-shaped, and I had to step back and I had to just reevaluate everything. And I was in this relationship with this guy who wanted me to be normal, and it just didn't work for me. I'm glad I did it, because I think it showed me the path that I'm supposed to be on, and it really reinforced music for me. But it was, yeah, I've always feel myself when I'm playing music, listening to music, singing a tune, walking through the shops, dancing to music, like I do that. And that's me feeling way at home. And then when I don't do music, it's weird. I mean, we went to Italy for our honeymoon, and I still was sitting in the car, like having a concert featuring me. I was like, I'm sorry, babe, but this is my jam today. Okay. Like I have to be doing something with music because I don't know who I am without it. It doesn't make sense to me.
I completely understand. Now, going back to Wild in Me, your latest single, from what I was reading, you originally meant just to perform it at your wedding. You weren't going to share it with the wider world. So what prompted the decision to release it as a single?
Yeah, I thought long and hard about this because I didn't it was just too special to me not to share because I've always given a big chunk of myself to my career and to I guess the people that follow me and that support me and things like that, because music's so personal. And so I was like, if I'm gonna record this song and play it at the wedding, I feel like it would be unfair of me not to share it because it is such a personal thing for me. And I'm really glad I did because so many people have come out. I mean, I played it at so many shows, even just acoustic, and people jump up with their husband or wife and just dance. And I was like, okay, take me back to the wedding. I'm going to cry again, and it's so special, it's such a beautiful thing I love that music brings people together. It's so special. And I'm really glad I shared it because I just get to see that and experience that. And I'm glad I didn't miss out on that.
Do you think it's the song of yours that's had the most connection with your audiences?
It's definitely up there. That's for sure. Maybe it is actually. I haven't thought about that yet, but it's definitely up there. I know that for sure because I've just people messaging me and at the moment, because I wanted to celebrate love in general, and it could be your love for your pet or your favorite sport or your wife or your husband or your kids, or if you love cooking, and so I did this little campaign on social media where I've asked everyone to send me through a 5 to 10-second video of them doing something they love. Or with their loved ones. You could be I got some magical moments of just families and friends and people. You can just see the joy and happiness in their face, and that's what it's about. And so I'm so excited to kind of put that together as like a music video featuring everyone else, not me, and celebrating love. Yeah, it's just a beautiful vibe. I think we're still in a bit of a world at the moment where we're in pain, we're in pain, the world's in pain. And I was like, we're dealing with all these things, like the news, the interest rates, blah, blah, the list goes on, it doesn't end. And I was like, if at the minimum, if we can just share some love, we can bring 5 seconds of happiness to somebody.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there is still quite a bit of pain out there. I think it is lingering from lockdowns, and it's for musicians, obviously there was actual career pain to get past, and so many of you have done that so incredibly, and just carrying on and releasing music. But because as a musical artist, you are very much in contact with your audience. They're sitting in front of you, or they're contacting you on social media after listening to your song. It's an art form that is very much immersed in the audience. So when you are sensing that the audience is feeling like that, there are people out there in pain who need things, and that you can provide joy, entertainment, but also solace and reflection, do you then think about the sorts of songs you're writing and intending to record? Like, are you thinking, right, well, I think this may carry on for a few months, so I'm actually going to look at what I'm releasing over the next few months and see if that can meet the audience where they are?
Absolutely. I'll give you a little sneak preview, but I've got a new song coming out later on. It'll be maybe towards the end of this year or very early next year. And it's called Change. And it is very much about, we at the moment, it's like people think we need millions of dollars to change someone else's world. And it's we've forgotten all the little things, like opening a door for somebody, like the very simple little things, or, somebody drops something on the ground, you pick it up. Like, it's like we're scared of helping other people these days because we're like, I don't have any money, I can't give it to you, I'm sorry. Like, and so the change is simply about that, remembering the little things. And hey, like, I mean, if I can help you by carrying your shopping bags, that's what takes 2 minutes out of my day. It doesn't hurt me. it's I'm not losing time anywhere else. Like, I mean, it's just the little things that we can do to help bring some joy back into the world, if we remember those little things. And we don't need millions of dollars to make a difference. That's where I found, like, I wrote it with Caitlin Shadbolt and Tori Dark, and we were me and Kate were in the room together, and Tori was on Zoom, again, a COVID song, right? And we were just sitting there thinking, like, why does everyone think we need dollars to make things better? I mean, given if we could hand out $1 million to everybody in the world, I'm sure it'd make things better, but it'll also make things, money doesn't bring joy. Money doesn't bring happiness. Money doesn't buy you love. Like, we think we can buy all these things in the world and it'll bring us joy, but it'll bring us joy for all of 5 minutes. And then it's, oh yeah, I bought that jet ski. That's cool. Like, because we're in a bit of a world where we think, oh, we're on to the next best thing in such a hurry. And I was like, well, why don't we go back to the basics? They're so small. Holding a cafe door for someone, honestly, even just smiling at a random stranger, we're so scared to do it these days because we're worried, like, what's that person going to think of us? I'm like, but it's such a small thing that used to bring so many people joy.
Yeah. So given that as an artist, you are providing joy, creating joy for others, that comes at an energetic cost, I guess. You need to keep your well filled. So what do you do to bring yourself joy?
Yes. So I work on this on a regular basis because I can tell you I'm sure everyone experiences it, but it's can be really draining. Not draining bad. It's just you give so much of yourself that you need to really rein it in when you get home and bring yourself back up to 100%, fill your cup back up, and then you can go out and fill other people's cups. So me, I get home on a Sunday night or a Monday morning from shows, and I literally, I will pamper myself. That brings me joy. And then I will probably spend, I kid you not, at least like 2 or 3 hours doing something really mind numbing. Something that I don't have to think about it, whether I'm just sitting on the couch watching a really silly show, playing with my dog, going for a push bike ride, just where I just clear my head. I don't look at my emails. I don't look at my phone. I will sometimes even not sing unless something comes to me, and then I'll be like, okay, I've got to write this down. Can't miss a good writing opportunity. But I will just try and focus on me for a few hours. And that generally I find will bring me back up to at least 95%. And then I've got the rest of the week to work on getting me to 100% before I go back out again. But I think it's really important. I used to go. Like when I was younger, I would be sometimes playing 4 or 5 nights a week, if I wanted to. And I didn't think that it would weigh on me as such. And then I think after I started turning, like after I turned 25 or something, I was like, whoa, this is hard work. And I haven't thought about me for a very long time. And I started to do that because it's important. It's so important for our mental health. But I actually think, because if your brain is drained or your heart is drained, your body is going to be brought down. So you just need to build yourself back up, get yourself back to 100%, and then keep going.
Mm-hmm. Quite apart from which is, it's good for your voice, because the voice is a reflection of your state of mind and your state of physical health, is that, in order to sing however many songs you sing in a set, you got to take care of that. And that's my segue to ask you a technical question about singing. Yeah. Because I'm curious about what happens as a singer when you approach different sorts of material. So for a song like Wild in Me, which is closer to the listener in some ways, do you channel a different version of you than on Dream Wild, for example, just to use a song with the same word in it, because that's a different vibe, for lack of a better term. So technically what goes on?
Absolutely. So when we were recording Wild in Me, I was recording with my friend Sinead, and we ran through one take, and it was good. It was just, that's a nice take. And then she was like, okay, no, you need to dig deep. And she's like, I want you to think about. So initially we started out, she was like, I want you to think about all those heartbreaks, all those people that broke your heart, and all those times you cried over a boy that was just, you were just young and dumb. But she was like, channel that, and then think about the fact that you found Chad and he wants to spend the rest of his life with you. through all your crazy times and everything. And it kind of brought me to tears. Like I was starting to sing the first line, and we were really close to the microphone, and we were trying not to channel so much of a singing voice. It was more trying to talk through me telling somebody that I met the one. And, I can admit that previously I wasn't really in love with these people. I thought I was, but I wasn't, And then you started to build on that kind of talking type voice and telling a story into like feeling this, feeling the emotion through song, I guess, for lack of better words. And then we started to sing it. But she wanted to get like, hey, I'm trying to tell you a really important story here, and we've got to get really close and personal, and we've got to dig deep. So it's hard because I'm not a very good in front of a camera. I'm not a good actor. I'm super awkward. I'm super weird. And then sometimes I find myself in a studio feeling like I've got to act. And that's why and Sinead knows me very well. And she was like, no. So I want you to think about all those people that broke your heart, and then think about the fact that you just found this guy that really wants to be with you forever. And forever's a long time. And she's like, and how does that make you feel? And she's like, and tell me in the microphone in a really intimate, personal story how this makes you feel. And I was like, oh my God. It's like there's a psychology behind it. And she knows me really well. She knows how to get that point. She's like, you need to get in there, get sad, and then get real happy about it. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like reverse psychology. Yeah.
And I'm glad I asked, because I can hear that in your voice. And that's why, because listening to that song compared with your other songs, the Sinead, you're talking about a Sinead Burgess with whom you wrote Oh My Heart. So listening to that song, I was like, there's something else going on here. So she's clearly good at being an in-studio manipulator of your emotions.
Oh, and I wouldn't have thought of that. I recorded the vocals for Fight For It in my little home studio that I've got downstairs, because we're in the middle of COVID. And I remember singing it through, and I went, oh, okay, cool. And then I listened to it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is what producers really get paid the good dollars for. I was like, Jade, you gotta kick some butt here. Like, you gotta fight for it. Like, really get in there. So I remember kind of telling myself and talking myself through like my mental health experiences and things like that. And when I was really like struggling when I was 21 and my record deal just went pear-shaped, and how kind of angry and upset and scared and frightened and everything, all those emotions that it made me feel. But I came out of it going, well, that's not going to end me. I'm not done. I'm not finished with this. And it made me really like angry and hungry. And so here I was literally talking to myself in the studio. I'm like, no, mate, you've got to do that again. And I was like, get serious, And so I was really having to, it's easier when there's somebody else there to help guide you. But when you go do it yourself, I mean, I take my hat off to these producers to be able to come up with the way of thinking to get a singer to get into that. Some people find it really easily, and I don't think I do, because it, especially like Wild in Me, was such a personal song. I was like, oh, now really, I'm sharing it. You've got to share it. Say it out loud.
Well, now you've already given us a glimpse into what's coming after this particular song. There is another song on the horizon, but I imagine you're also looking ahead to some further releases. Have you been writing quite a bit with Sinead? Or, I mean, you mentioned writing with Tori and Caitlin, but are there other people you've been writing with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping I've got a songwrite coming up with Alys again very soon. And Tori and I whenever we get together, we're trying to bust out a few tunes and stuff. So we've been writing a fair bit, which is really exciting. And I've got a few more writes with Shinny coming up. And I've got a couple of extras on the horizon that I won't say too much about just yet, but I'm very excited about it. I had big hopes to have an album out this year, but I don't think it's the right time. So instead, that's why I thought, well, let's work on, the Wild in Me single. I've got another song coming out at the end of this year, and early next year. And I wanted to make, like a fan-based kind of music video celebrating love, and I just wanted to focus really on that actually, because an album can that's a whole year ordeal, sometimes 18 months, and I was like, I don't want to leave these few really important songs that I've got coming up to the wayside. I really want to focus on them, so that's what I've done. I decided to go that way.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to hearing the new songs. In the meantime, we have Wild in Me and Jade. As ever, lovely to talk to you.
Thank you, Sophie. Thanks for having me.